So, hello everyone. Welcome to our traditional, I would say, live session. And we have a guest today, as always. We have the guest the Agata Babina from the Faculty of Humanities and Arts. She's a Spanish teacher here in Liepaja University. And what is the aim of today? So we want to introduce you with the study program European Language and Culture Studies. It's bachelor level study program, and we want to introduce you with the program, with the specific how the classes are going on, and of course how to learn new language and so on and so on. So all about European language and culture studies. So, but in the deeper perspective. So that's why we invited Agata. And I know that Agata has prepared the presentation as well. But let's start with the introduction. So tell us who you are and what are you doing in our university.
Hello, my name is Agata Babina. I usually allow my students to call me by name because I consider us as peers where we interactuate and exchange our knowledge, and I'm just the supporter for the students. Maybe about my education and degree. First, I studied for French language teacher, but my passion was always for Spanish, and therefore I had a chance, thanks to my family, to spend 9 months in Mexico, where I first learned basically on street. When I went there, I didn't know anything about Spanish language, and I was young enough to hang around and learn the language basically on street, but also taking some courses in Veracruz University. And later on, this passion for Spanish stayed. And meanwhile, I was studying French. I also went to Spain for European voluntary service to practice and make better my Spanish expression. And always, since I learned the language, I always gave private classes. And this meant for me also to prepare them and to learn in the process. So I spent like 10 years just speaking and basically learning by myself and by transmitting my knowledge to others who were interested. And later on, I did the master's studies in Latvian University, and I had another Erasmus experience in Spain. And so for the moment, I have a master's degree in humanitarian sciences with a profile in Spanish language and culture. And currently, I am also aiming for PhD diploma in linguistics. That's on the way.
Wow, I would say you are a culturally educated teacher here at the university, so students had the good chance to have attend your classes, so Spanish classes. Okay, so I think it's time to educate the audience about the content. So how do you think why this program is unique? I would say because it is. So why the foreigners should choose it and go for it? And
I think it's a complex meaning of studies. Well, first of all, the name already says it's European languages and culture. So on the one side, the study program is very general because it provides us language studies and culture, but also it allows for each of the students to find its path and then continue to become or a teacher or or a translator or maybe some activist in international organization, I always see it as a very wide opportunity, because basically what you become a specialist in at least 2 languages. I will later show in my presentation what does it mean, what do we teach. But first of all, I see us as a specialists, as a active language users, so we can use it really in practice, and we have to be very open-minded into cooperation, into international work, so it can be not only teacher or only a translator. Why not Amnesty International or United Nations or some embassy or whatever, where languages are needed. It depends already on your personal interests and ambitions.
So I really like your global perspective. So I also saying to students we should dream big, right?
Sure. It's
Yeah.
only how I got to where I am. It's by dreaming.
So yeah, just a reminder. So at the university, you will, in this program, you will study English and you will study one more foreign language. So Spanish with Agata and other teachers, French, German, Russian, and what is unique, Latvian as a foreign language too, which becomes more and more popular in the recent years. Yeah, I would like to maybe invite you to share some information with us in terms of presentation. You said you have prepared maybe to get the general overview of this study program. So it's an undergraduate program, and yeah, please.
Okay, let's go. So I hope my presentation is visible. So European languages and culture, what does it mean from the official perspective, as well from I would say creative perspective, on how do we do it. So there is an opportunity to study 3 years in the bachelor program if you have a previous knowledge proved in the interview, I will explain, or if you have no knowledge of the second language, then you go for 4 years program that actually I would advise more, and I will explain it later on why exactly. Even if you know the second language already, my experience shows that it's better still to start from the beginning. I will tell you why. So our program is based on the English knowledge that you have already previously. When you graduate, if you graduate, yeah, you have to graduate the high school, yeah, that provides you the exam and diploma in English. Maybe you have studied before. It doesn't matter that you have to come after high school. So this is already, the university education is already open for every age and every profile of people who whenever decide to study something new for them. So English is a first language that we suppose that the student coming into our university is already freely speaking English, has English language knowledge and grammar knowledge, and so we reinforce it, and we go deeper into culture studies from the perspective of United States and UK, and we work more deeply on text analysis and linguistics. And then you choose a second language where you have a right not to know anything about the second language. And the second language can be or Russian, or German, or French, or Spanish, or Latvian if you are a foreign student. This Latvian language as a foreign language would be for a foreign student. Currently, we have a student from Poland who is attending classes, and already in the first year, is a little bit presenting some sentences, and last week we had a nice student conference where she already presented some research that she has done comparing Latvian and Polish language. That was very nice. So we are active in this. What I want to say, that if you are a foreign student and you choose, for example, to study English and Russian, anyway, you will have in your study plan Latvian as a second language. We expect our students, because anyway, it's 3 or 4 years, doesn't matter where you're from, you come, you study in our university, in our country, we expect you to learn at least some basic Latvian language, because anyway, it will be easier for you to orientate in the communication, in the things that university provide for the students, what we can read in the university webpage, even if everything is translated. Always for us, the first language is Latvian language. So some basic words and basic meaning you have to understand as our students. So that's why we have a very good and nice teachers who have practice in teaching Latvian as a foreign language. So then we choose Russian, German, French, Spanish, and Latvian. And what is, I think, very particular just in our university in Liepaja, that the first year of studies is very intense. For example, I'm working with the Spanish language, and for my students come into the class and they really barely know, maybe they have heard some, for sure, I hope, even from some movies or songs, maybe some phrases in Spanish, but basically we could consider that they have no Spanish knowledge at all. And we start from the alphabet, from getting to know, from basic words, and we have different subjects. It's not just Spanish language course. No, that's very important to understand, that we go into studies really deeply, and we study it from the linguistic point of view, and we study literature and a bit of history, and we play with the language and try to understand, try to think in it already immediately. I will show you later on the examples of different activities we do with the students. Basically in the first year you have already communication, grammar, orthography, phonetics as separate subjects, and also text analysis. And it's very intensive study year. The first year you have up to 7 classes, that it means 14 hours, academic hours of studies in a week in this second language that in the first September you don't know, but I would say that in the second, third month we basically already communicate in our students. And I also try to use mostly Spanish language in my classes, and I know my colleagues in French and Russian and German also do this. Yeah, our aim is not to do the translation of every sentence or translation of every word. We try to put the student already in the communication situation, yeah, and we use the modern materials for language for foreign students, that also provide us all the explanations, even if it's basic grammar, basic use of some article or something. It's explain in the target language. We are all in this target language. So, and this is the reason why I suggest people, even if they know the basic of this language, come for the first year since the beginning, because later on in the second year, there is much less this second language, but some other subjects come in, yeah, more English. We also have, foreign students have some extra subjects in human resource management, for example, also general linguistics that are in lessons read in English, or in English, or for Latvian students it's in Latvian. So the first year is very important. It's very important to understand if it is for you or not. If you come as the 3-year student, that you have a right, if you have really good language knowledge already, like, okay, basic A2, I would say. But that means that you would skip these first steps that are very intensive and very into getting into the topic of the second language. So I'm speaking a lot. Let's go forwards. So what we also have our expectations from our students, because the experience is very, very different. And unfortunately, nowadays, more and more young people feel very lost in what do they want, how to choose. You have to feel if this study program is for you, and how you can feel it. You can feel it if the speaking in foreign languages has been a comfort for you already since you are young. I would say since you are in the school, yeah. If you go to school and you feel that you are keen on learning other languages, on getting to know the foreign authors and read their books, and you are interested in literature, and you like some poetry, or maybe you are very into music and you like to understand lyrics of music, or you like movies and cinema, and for you it has been always important to try to see the movie in the original language. You have to have this attachment to the language, because it's not to come and study in the foreign language courses. These are not courses, these are studies, yeah? And so we expect that the students are ambitious, that they are interested in research, in question. They are ready to listen, speak, read, write, and they are ready to try it even if they make mistakes, because of course you will make mistakes when learning a new language, but that's how you will learning by doing. You love text, yeah? You have to understand that maybe library will be one of your best friends for the next 3-4 years, that you would go there, and that maybe you are ready to sum up some to collect some money and to make your own library at home, and purchase books and so on. What's important, you have to, little by little, we will prepare you for the scientific students conference that happens usually in March. We had it just last week. That's in the 3rd year, when you have to prepare your first study paper. That is basically the first try, we acknowledge it. It's about 25 pages. You can write it in English or in your second language that you have been studying, and you have your tutor, you have your topic you work on, and then you present it in the conference, and it's basically its meaning is that our other professors can consult you, can suggest you, can give a little critique, so you know how better to prepare your bachelor paper in the end. So because in the 4th year, before graduating, in order to be able to graduate, you will have to write a 40 pages bachelor paper in English, or we always would suggest the second language, because if we see the whole academic world, and if we see the academic works in Latvia, we would find quite a lot of them written in English, but much less in other foreign languages. So for my students, I would be always keen on seeing them to write their researches in Spanish, and they are able to do it. And we have very good examples from last year when we had first graduates. But of course, you can do it in English as well. For your study paper, you have to understand that we are still in Latvia. We study European cultures, European languages. So in this case, for example, if you come from some African or Asian country, you have to think what the connection can be. Maybe you study the English language influence in your country, or maybe it's French or Spanish. It's maybe as we know, a lot of countries have this post-colonial experience where some of the European languages have had impact on the local level and for quite a long time. So it's always possible, there are always possible connections with languages or culture or literature. Maybe you analyze some translation of some literary work, some novel or poetry. It also all goes into our studies, our study profile. So, how is the life in our university? You have to acknowledge that our university is regional and it's small, but it has good pluses because it has a good impact because we are very familiar. You will know your teacher, you will have access to your teacher. He will be a good tutor for you when you need. So groups are small, so it's also easy, better for the language studies, especially. Yeah, we don't have 200 students in the auditorium, but we have 10, 12, sometimes 8 and less even. But so it's a small group and it's a comfort zone to try out and study languages. So we can see in the photo Russian language students. On the left side there are local students, on the right side there are international students who are studying, who used to study Russian language with our professor of Russian language, Valentina Kalinina, and I will tell you also about different study approaches and what do we do. Yeah, we sometimes do the gamification and we play something and we do theater or role play. It of course also depends on every teacher, every professor is a bit different, so also the teaching methods might differ. For example, this comes from my class where we play with the text, and for example, if we have maybe French language teachers we have two young ladies, young nice teachers who are maybe more into poetics and theater, and we will see that the French students used to participate in contests and Francophonian days where they do theater, but I am more into the text and into the creative writing, so I'm challenging my students to play with the words. And on one side we can see I have been giving them some articles, some newspapers, and cut them, find the words you understand, find the words that rhyme, and glue some poetry or sometimes make a cause, how you would make a special cause for environment protection in Spanish language. What would be the basic phrases you would use to speak to the public? On the right side, there are some questions in Spanish, and I give them one by one, and students have just to make notes on the paper with short answers. And when they get these first steps, first answers on the questions, then later on they elaborate a short story with a 50 words limitation, and we work on short narrative stories like this, yeah, with different creative exercises. Yeah, French students. French students usually do poetry. They go on the stage. In Latvia, we have a long tradition of Francophonian days, so days that are dedicated to promote French language and culture in whole Latvia. So students from all over the country do something and participate in contests, and our students are also always encouraged, and professors are keen to write the play, yeah, the scenario, and do some video record about it or present it on the stage in our university, or sometimes they go to Riga, to the capital, and present it in front of others. So also to be creative, performative is what we expect and encourage in our students. We of course, as all universities, also our university invites guest teachers. We have had teachers as Erasmus mobility teachers from Spain, and I usually try to involve the native speakers in my class. If I somewhere hear someone who is a native speaker of Spanish and he lives for a while in Latvia, and especially in our city, I invite him to come and speak about some topic. Here above we can see on the screen there is a famous poet Federico Garcia Lorca, and I got to know the wonderful volunteer Gloria, who was for 1 year working as a volunteer in our city, and she was from the Andalusia region, and she was keen to come and speak to us and present and explain maybe deeper meaning of the poetry of Garcia Lorca. And then we have some guests. Sometimes they come from the French Culture Center in Riga, or they come from some embassy. So all students are invited to participate also in the lectures that happen in foreign language about different topics. So also students have opportunity to travel. If you are a full-time student, you have an opportunity to apply for Erasmus studies. And then, for example, if Spanish students go to Erasmus studies somewhere, I am keen to go and see them there and see what they do. I have done it 2 times, going and visiting my students in Spain, or also with those who are left here who didn't have the opportunity to go to Erasmus. Then we arranged in the last year of our studies to go and see those who are from younger students who are on Erasmus, go and visit them, visit their university, or see how they live there. And also it's an opportunity to be in the environment and practice and go to the public spaces, try to interact with locals, yeah, to have this feeling of the language. So what do others language students do? They also used to go to participate in international contests, Olympiads. Here we have photo from Russia, and the German language students also are keen on going to some study visits, and here they went to Vilnius University in Lithuania for Germanic days with different workshops and lectures, and also we visit our our partner university college in Ventspils, with which we have some common study programs as well, and which provides, for example, master studies in translation. That is one of the perspectives of our students who finish the bachelor degree here, that they might go for master program in translation. So they also go to see and visit and meet the teachers already meanwhile studying in bachelor. Also, our teachers go for travel and get extra experience and knowledge when participating in as a guest teachers in other universities. Here we have our professor Oleg Belyaev, who is professor in French, and he has already regular experience with going to the university in Savoie Mont Blanc in France, and also students from this university are our students. They come with Erasmus scholarship and usually spend 1 or 2 semesters studying with us. I also have sometimes in my Spanish class students from France and even students from Spain and from Turkey coming. So we have also, even if the group is small, it's still very intercultural, I would say, because we study language within different backgrounds, with students from different cultural backgrounds and different study experiences. So we also need to provide and it's logical that we provide some practice, some insight into different professions, into different passes that later on each student can elaborate. We have been 2 times translating Mexican movies from Mexican culture for Mexican Culture Days that were organized in our city and in the capital, and we had to make translation of the movies for subtitles from Spanish to Latvian. Also, other students participating in translation contests, and so on. So also, for example, German language students with their professor usually every year go on and organize an excursion in our city, and they have to prepare some information in German language to be able to speak and present and practice as a possible tourist guide, maybe, if someone is interested. And it also provides the possibility to work on different materials about our culture and history and translate it in foreign language, and later on also cooperate with the tourism information office of Liepaja and the region. So, but now, as we know, all over the world, we are in the online studies. That means that each of us is basically at our home, and home can be wherever. It can be in the city, in the countryside, in another country. We have students who connect to the classes from Poland, from USA, from other countries. So how to make the study process interesting? I'm trying always to invent something new. Here you have some examples how I work with students in the online studies. So I used to make Jamboards with some questions. Here, for example, is some little sentence, and then there are different questions, and students have to elaborate their ideas, how they understand this sentence, with which what they can connect it with, or how would they visualize this little story that is 8-word story, and then maybe also to develop it longer. So we do it in the online, and I comment on it, and I add extra questions, and then it stays also as a material. Look, this we have done, this we can look afterwards. How did we write it? How did we formulate it? This is like an online wall to work on. Different here students had it's first year students who just started to learn the language, and I was asking them to propose if they had the possibility to go on vacations, where would they go, put some photos, where would they like to rest and why, and what would they plan to do in this area. And so they had to look up for some information for some special destination and write the basic sentences on what they would do in this place, and it's already from the very beginning. Yeah. Then we can use a Padlet, and in the Padlet we can interact with different comments. Here we were studying about Spanish cinema, and I put some posters, and I put some descriptions of the movies, and they had to connect how do they think, which description is about which movie, and then later on I suggested them to see two of these movies and write some little essay about topic of stereotypes, of Latino stereotypes in the cinema, etc. So we can, even if it's online, even if we are at home, there is a wild possibility to do different interesting things and study on our own and take a teacher just as a consultant, as the one who suggests the topics and suggests the things to do together and individually. Yeah, there is another, for example, Padlet, where it was from the point of view of grammar. I asked students to look into Spanish newspaper, online news, and find some titles of the news where the basic word, the basic meaning is based in the noun, or the basic meaning is expressed by a verb or by participle, and so on. So also, yeah, working with texts, with original texts, and seeing them from the point of view of grammar. How does grammar express, influence what's expressed, what's the meaning of the sentence, especially in public communication. And for example, some of the assignments, sometimes students are very creative. We can ask them to make presentations, to make videos, to make posters, write essays and papers, and do translations. And here, sometimes I give some task, and I see that students are even much more creative. And someone can send me video, and that's how I discover, oh, there are special platforms where we can use already prepared material to use shots and add some text and make some promotional video, or using Canva we can make some poster about raising awareness or some topic, and so it can be also very creative. And this how this is how we work. And what I would like to say, I will stop this now. And what does it mean from my presentation? As we can see, the education now goes more and more towards the online studies. Even if they will be in the presence, in the classroom, we always have to be ready that the study process might be still some part online. That's why I would also invite students to think already how they can provide themselves with a good computer and internet connection. The computer in studies is is for sure needed, and the phone is not enough. Yeah, we need computer for studies.
Thank you, Agata, for this wide and I would say deep explanation on the study process, on structure, and even what are you expecting from students. And I really enjoyed what you said. These are not language courses; these are studies. So this is also important message for students. That this is university, and the students should have an interest, deeper interest, not just to learn the language in order to communicate during the vacation with someone in a foreign country, but to understand in deeper way the culture and why it's like this and why it's like that. And I really enjoyed what you said, and now it's also much more clear for me. And how this program. By the way, I'm also almost a graduate of this program. So
Oh, yes.
I was almost, because I have the pedagogical degree as well. So it was a 5 years program. And yes, thank you for this beautiful presentation. At the end of this live session, I would like to ask to you. So what are the tips or tricks or magic? How would you suggest how to learn the new language from the zero? So I don't know. I just know from Spanish TV series some phrases, and I want to learn the new language. And what are the tricks?
So first of all, keep watching those series. The trick is to try to be in touch with the environment in whatever way possible. If we cannot travel to Spain or Latin America or whatever, even France, yeah, for French language. So try to listen to music, watch the movies, try to find some expats in your city to meet up with them to speak. It's unfortunately for Latvian people, it is a big problem because we are quite shy, quite introvert in general. So sometimes it's the language will not come to you. You have to go to this language. And that's why I say our studies in the first year are very intense, so you have no way to skip it. Huh?
Thank you, thank you. I really love your enthusiasm, and I'm sure that your classes are full of fun, but still quite, as I said, intense. And students have to be ready to study hard. And yeah, I wanted to remind you that also international students are very welcome to apply for the Erasmus scholarships for studies abroad, and to the country of which language they're choosing. So if students choose French as a second language, so that they're suggested to go to France, of course, and we have partner universities in many countries. And so the students are encouraged, and really I would say that these program students, they're very active in going abroad, I would say. So thank you for being with us. I will give the last word to Agata. Maybe you wanna add something else. What something else? And if yeah, please.
I don't know, just, yeah, whenever there is some question, you can comment below the video, you can subscribe and follow us for sure, and you can contact also me personally, finding me on the Facebook, Agata Babina, if you are interested in studying languages with us. You are welcome.
Yes, very well. So thank you, Paldies, merci, and we can continue. Yes, and we can continue. And thank you for being with us as always. This video, the recorded video, will be available in our Facebook page and later on also in our YouTube channel. So we have a lot of nice videos about the studies at LiepU in a deeper perspective. Okay. So thank you, and thank you for being in us. Thank you, of course, Agata, to you. and see you in a few weeks with another guest. And yeah, thank you and bye.
Goodbye.